Unbelievable. All right, moving right along. I wanted cue cards. What are these things?
I'm sorry,
All right, it's all good. All right, our first guest up tonight. He's an American radio talk show legend for over 40 years. He's in the Guinness Book of World Records for over 300,000 interviews. It's my honor to introduce the legendary Joe Franklin. Joe Franklin, my idol. Over here? No, you go sit over there. No, come here. Joe, it's a pleasure.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
My pressure, my pressure.
Gab, give him a little clip.
Little clip.
What's that?
This microphone.
Okay. You got it over here? Where is it?
Gabrielle's the one who hooked me up with Joe Franklin. You give her a hand. Joe, thank you for taking the time out to come visit us.
I just want to say it's my pleasure, my thrill, and you know, people always ask me, what's the future for talk show hosts? I say, you know, while I was on the air, there were 500 talk show hosts came and went in that period. 500 came and went during my tenure. I always say the main thing is sincerity. And once you learn to fake that,
yeah, it's true.
then you got it made. Then you got it made.
Good, good.
I more or less invented the talk show when I was just a kid. I was choosing the records for a man named Martin Block. Remember the Make Believe Ballroom? And one day Channel 7 called me. They said, Joe, we like your voice on the radio, and we're considering lighting up in the daytime. There was no daytime TV. TV was only on the air then from 5 o'clock at night till sermonette. There was no daytime TV. They said, Joe, if we give you an hour a day, what kind of a show might you do? I said, well, I do a show of people talking nose to nose, eyeball to eyeball. They said, Joe, you're out of your mind. You can't do a talk show on the word is television. You got to give them vision. You got to give them salsa bottles, baggy pants, pratfalls, burlesques. So I said, well, rock and roll was coming. I said, how about I do a show of kids dancing to records? They said, Joe, you're out of your mind. Who's going to watch kids dance to records? Dick Clark comes along and becomes a billionaire. But I defied them. I think I did the first pure organic From the Bones TV talk show and had 500,000 guests since those days. 500,000. And by the way, Johnny, I want to say, I like your personality. You got that likability. You got that nice personality, and people always ask, are there going to be more talk show hosts? As long as there's TV, there'll be a need for more TV talk show hosts, and you got that smile.
Thank you.
You got that smile. Let's hear it for Johnny.
But I like what you said. Sincerity, you got to learn how to fake it. It is hard dealing with the public sometimes.
Got to be sincere, even if you don't mean it.
Yeah. I got to work on that. That's tough.
Fake it.
That's tough.
This is great. I mean, talk show host, radio legend, we don't even have to conduct an interview here.
I know, Joe, you answered like a lot of things already.
Shoot.
No, but Joe, you were a record picker at the age of 16, like you said. That was at NEW, right?
And the funny part is that's 11:30 a.m. on the dial. Now 55, 60 years later, I'm back on 11:30 a.m. on Bloomberg Radio.
I know, that's the best.
I've gone full cycle. It's WBBR stands for Bloomberg Business Radio. So it's the same.
That's lifestyle, right?
More or less, yeah.
Now listen, let me ask you this question. When you were at that age, did you know you wanted to be a talk show host? I mean, and then how did the Joe Franklin show evolve?
I just wanted to be a journalist, but I got that phone call one day from Channel 7, WABC. In those days it was WJZ TV. And then it just happened. I just never, even now, I'm not going to quit till I get it right.
No.
After all those years.
God bless you. Now, Joe, you're known for giving like unknown artists they're breaking the business.
Nobody discovers anybody, but I gave the first exposure ever on TV to Barbra Streisand. She was my singer for 2 years, by the way. Bette Midler, Tiny Tim. Remember Tiny Tim?
Yeah.
I was invited to his wedding. I couldn't make it. You know why? I couldn't find a formal shopping bag. But I gave the first exposure to Eddie Murphy, the Jackson family, Michael Jackson 5 times, Joan Rivers, Al Pacino, Dustin Hoffman. I mean, the list is endless.
Barry Manilow.
Barry Manilow. Bruce Springsteen, no matter who you mention, they got their first exposure ever.
Bill Cosby.
Bill Cosby, these are nice, you know, a lot of those stars, when they see me on the street, they sort of walk away on the other side. They don't want to be reminded of the days when they were broke. But Bill Cosby loves me, he sees me in the street, he kisses me, he's what you call a class man. Bill Cosby is the best of the best. I mean that.
I heard a lot of good things, but you know, you got to be humble. You know, someone gives you your break, you know, and then you get that stardom, that starstruck. Not cool.
You can't knock what's happened. In my day, there was very strict censorship. Today, it's why I was taken off the air when my sponsor. There were days when you could advertise cigarettes. My sponsor was Camel cigarettes. I said 9 out of 10 doctors who tried Camels went back to women. And I was taken off the air for 2 weeks. Just taken by the censors 2 weeks. I was just taken off the air because I said that.
That's great.
And I never forgot what Bob Hope said. He says, if you're bald in the front, that means you're a thinker. If you're bald in the back, that means you're a lover. If you're bald in the front and the back, that means you think you're a lover. Bob Hope he was very fast, very quick.
Bob Hope was great.
He was good. He emceed the Academy Awards 25 times, so that's
Yeah, that's amazing.
we miss him.
Yeah.
He lived till 102, really.
That old?
Yeah, George Burns till 100.
It's because he smoked cigars and he drank.
That's right.
I fully recommend it.
I'll be 39 soon.
That's all.
Keep smoking, keep drinking.
That's without weekends. Yeah.
Do you drink it all, Joe, or no?
No, not much.
Back in the day?
Where's the whiskey? No, I don't drink.
It's under the table.
Under the table, right? I don't drink.
Now, Joe, listen, I've been a drummer in the music business for like more than half my life. Who are your best and your favorite groups that came on the show?
Well, I gave the first exposure ever to New Kids on the Block.
Yeah?
One of my classic shows. Anybody remember my show with Jay Giles Band?
Yeah, that I remember.
They were sensational. They were in town for one day. David Letterman offered them $75,000. They said, no, we want to go on the Joe Franklin show because we like Joe. So they were on. That was one of my classics. I gave the first exposure. You name any group, I probably had them on first.
You know what my favorite was? The Ramones.
Oh, I love the Ramones. How many left?
There's only, well, the original drummer, Tommy, who left the band earlier, prior to 75, Marky Ramone's still living.
Right.
And he's going to be on the show. I told you, he said hello.
Let me know. Oh, I want to watch that day.
No, I definitely will.
I remember, I love country music. One of my first guests was Garth Brooks. I had him on when he was a shoe salesman selling shoes.
Get outta here.
In New York City, right? I had him on when they were
What year was that, you remember?
about 1972, 73.
Yeah, he was from back then?
Way back. And now he's #1 in history.
So he got his break like later on in life, right?
Not only a break, a compound fracture.
Yeah.
He was a fabulous, fabulous guest. Those were the good days, huh?
Now, what about when your show was at when it was prime? Were you into going to all like the red carpet events, the Hollywood parties, the after parties, the stay out all night? You know?
That's a great question, Jen. I've been kind of a recluse. I never made the rounds.
That's cool.
I stayed home. I've written 23 books.
Yeah, well, there you go.
This is one of my books, if I can just
Yeah, listen. That's the one that I know that's the most popular.
This book sold 75,000 copies, and they're all in my house. No, on a serious note, this book is now in its third printing. Now in its third printing.
Wow.
The first 2 printings were blurred. No, it's a good book.
No, I heard a lot about this. Up Late with Joe Franklin. Stories of greats, the near greats, the has-beens, and the never was.
Yep.
That's great. I definitely want to.
Are you writing any more?
I'm writing one now called Growing Up with Radio, about my listening when I was a kid to Jack Benny and Bob Hope and Rudy Valley and Kate Smith. And it'll be a good seller. It'll be good.
I have another question for you. Out of all the things you've done in your life, experienced, are there any regrets?
I don't think so. I've had 500,000 guests. Ronald Reagan 5 times. Dick Nixon twice. I had Charlie Chaplin.
Oh yeah, huh?
Oh, he was great. I had Frank Sinatra twice, Bing Crosby twice. I had Cary Grant. I had John Wayne. Well, I never had either of you two, so we'll
work on that.
I'm ready. I'm serious.
Oh, excellent.
I mean that. You both got such nice smiles, nice personalities.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
Who do you? Anybody tell you who you look like? Anybody that?
Me?
A little bit.
Yeah. Well, let me hear what you say.
I would say Tyrone Power.
I don't know who that is.
He was a famous. Anybody remember Tyrone Power? Yeah.
I gotta look it up. I heard Mel Gibson meets James Cagney.
A little bit of that. I was watching it special.
That's what I say.
James Cagney. I can see James Cagney.
I was watching an old special the other night with James Cagney, and Frank Gorshin did a takeoff on James Cagney. He says, you dirty rat. And Cagney says, I never said that. It's so funny.
Did you ever meet James Cagney?
Many, many times. Had him on the air. He told me that he never, ever went to see one of his own movies. He said it's agonizing to
Really?
watch him because he said he always could have done that scene better. It's interesting that some people...
And he's a natural. It's like when
Oh,
you
yeah.
watch him, you say, like, this guy's just a natural.
And you know what's amazing? He wasn't so tall. He looked maybe 5'6", but he looked so great on the screen, you know?
Yeah. Now, Joe, listen, you've been recently, well, it said in your bio, you were recently honored in the Entertainment, what is this, Radio and Music Hall of Fame. When was that, and where was it?
About a year ago. I've got so many plaques and keys to the city. I must have 2,000 plaques with gold from my if I cashed them all in, I'd be a billionaire. You know what I mean? It's all like gold. I've got many, many stories about people who didn't like me. Rosemary Clooney one time. I said, Miss Clooney, I saw Man of La Mancha last night. She says, I'm not here to talk about that, Charlie. I said, my name isn't Charlie, my name is Joe. I just want to tell you that I just want to point out, I didn't know your ex-husband, Jose Ferrer, was such a good singer. She says, stands up, goodbye, Charlie, walks off the show.
Really?
But later on, she wrote a book that she was going through a nervous breakdown at that time, so I just forgave her. One time I said to Jerry Lewis, I said, Jerry, how's Dean Martin? He said, no wonder they called you the nostalgic kid. He said, we broke up 10 years ago. Took a swing at me, a real swing on the air.
No, he
Yeah, but
didn't.
later on, we made up, you know, because he didn't want to make the rounds. He was too tired. They get a little grouchy.
We had that conversation the other day with a bunch of gentlemen about Jerry Lewis with the comics, that he was arrogant.
He was,
He used
yeah.
to drink and he used to get crazy.
He was mysteriously dropped.
Poor Jerry.
But
Hey.
he's doing well, yeah.
Who is your favorite host? Being a host,
Besides Johnny,
No.
besides Johnny.
I'm really serious. I would say Merv Griffin. Oh, you mean the living ones?
No, it doesn't matter.
Living,
Doesn't matter.
dead.
I would say Dick Cavett,
Okay.
and that's about all. I mean,
And what?
I think the ones now that are popular, they are popular, but I think they're getting a little repetitious.
They lack
Yeah.
a lot of stuff. What about Carson? Did you like Carson?
He was the king. Johnny
Yeah.
Carson was the king. I was on his
He
show
said.
about
Yes.
3-4 times.
For sure.
I was on Johnny's show. I was on Johnny's show one night, and after the show, somebody touched him and said, Johnny had a great show. He said, don't touch me, don't touch me. In other words, on the air, he was very illuminating and bright, but backstage, very, very subdued. Couldn't drink. He did drink a lot, but he was a great talk show host.
When he passed away, he had a house in Malibu. He loved the Flintstones.
Really?
And it was like the Flintstones. They made it just like the Flintstones house, but it was going for not much, but about $4.5 million. There was
Much?
No, not much. It was
Pennies.
like 2-bedroom, a couple of acres, but it was nice. I don't know who bought it.
Can I tell you something? If I gave you a list of things I've never done, I don't go anywhere.
Really?
If I gave you let me try. I'll tell you just a couple things. I never drove a car.
Get out of here.
I never had I drove when I was a kid, but I never had a license. I never went to a beach. I never had my feet in the sand per se. I never played cards. I went to
Still
a
haven't?
race. I never did anything in my life. I was on TV 3 times a day, and radio at night from midnight to 5.
Wow.
I was what you call a workaholic.
Only one thing I had that you had out of all that. I never had a license for like half my life, but that's about it. I got it now. When I
license.
drive.
I know that feeling.
You got to see Joe's museum of collectibles. It's unbelievable.
I probably got the most memorabilia in the whole world. Lobby cards and sheet music and old records and song
Oh.
sheets.
Now, Joe, besides the new book coming out, what's next for you?
Well, I do a lot of college lectures. I was at Cornell recently. I gave a 2-hour lecture on old-time show business, vaudeville, stuff like that. And I make a little commercial. I make one for Empire Diamond and Gold Buying Service, which is being played on the radio now. And I'm semi-retarded. I mean, semi-retired. I work. I take it easy. I work when and like when I'm in the mood, you know. And in all modesty, I'm invited all over the countryside to do these things, and sometimes for big money. I do nothing except I'm such a fan of Johnny and you, what I've heard about, and
Joe, thank you so much.
I'm very honored to have been with you tonight.
I got one more fast
Hope you'll
question
invite
for
me
you.
back. Yes.
I got something cool that I might be able to help you out with, and I would love to be involved with, unless it ain't already being done. You have all your masters to all your past shows? I mean, are they on file or archived anywhere?
Out of 28,000 shows, I think I saved about 500.
Get out of here.
I saved. They used to tape over the show to save money.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Now
So
everything's all digital format, hard drives, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it'd be great if you could put out Joe Franklin box sets and seasons, whatever.
I put one out.
I know you got one, but the best of, make it, you know.
I made a doctor the other day. He told me that within 10 years, it's a little bit off the subject, that the whole world, everybody's going to be digitally engineered with the chip in the head. It's in the works, and I hope I'll be invited back to this show 50 years from now.
Joe, anytime, listen, we're doing lunch in a couple of weeks, but that's your time. Where can people find you on the internet? Anywhere?
I guess I was chatting with Gabrielle, I think. Well, there is a JoeFranklin.com or a Joe Franklin Show.
And you got the Facebook?
And Facebook, and on YouTube, they've got hundreds and hundreds of my shows, hundreds.
I want to ask you, I had my good friend Andrew Mealy, the drummer, rock drummer, he's in the audience, he picked you up.
Andrew I never met a guy drive so gracefully. The car was floating. Andrew is so, he's great.
Now, he's a good friend of mine.
I give the medical profession's highest rating, 4 stars. No. He is great.
Well, Joe, listen, thank you for coming.
Listen, I want to thank you from my bottom.
It was a pleasure. Everybody, legendary Joe Franklin.
Please invite me back.
That's it.
Joe Franklin.
Joe Franklin.
Unbelievable.
I can't believe he was here.
Unbelievably adorable.
That was surreal.